All right, let's get started then. We have with us Bruce Potter of Inside Nova, which is a local news outlet and also provides advertising for many of the local small businesses. So, Bruce, could you share with us a little bit about your business?
Sure, and thanks for the opportunity to chat with you, Steve. I really appreciate it. Um, so Inside Nova is owned by a company called Rappahannock Media, and at our core, we are a local multimedia business. We publish that operate, here in Northern Virginia and then in Piedmont, Virginia. We publish a group of local weekly community newspapers. Prince William County, Rappahannock County, Culpeper County, and on the Fort Belvoir military base. We publish a number of hyper-local community lifestyle magazines in Fauquier, Loudoun, Prince William, and Stafford counties. And online, we publish a regional news website called InsideNova.com, and that covers really all of Northern Virginia, as we like to say, from the Piedmont to the Potomac. So
Awesome.
we incorporate some content from some other partners and really provide that comprehensive regional and local news coverage that really can't be found anywhere else.
So you provide some really good coverage for this area, and an advertiser who is trying to reach an audience anywhere in this area has a real good opportunity to get to that kind of audience, if you will.
Yes, and whether it makes sense for them to do it through print or whether it makes sense for them to do it through digital advertising, we offer both of those solutions.
Good.
And whether they are a large regional advertiser, like a hospital chain or a retail chain, we can reach the entire region, or if they need to slice and dice that market more locally, then we can do that as well and target specific geographies and specific zip codes within the Northern Virginia market.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. How long has this organization been operating, and how long have you been with them?
Well, how long the organization's been operating is it's a bit of a complicated question because we have so many different products, and some of them, such as the Rappahannock News weekly newspaper, are over 100 years old.
Mm.
In its current iteration, we've in sort of as Inside Nova and Rappahannock Media, it's been about 3 years. Inside Nova began in 2003, the website, so it's going on 17, 18 years
Good.
around. Some of our publications, our newest publication, Stafford Magazine, we just started in February.
Okay.
So, so it's really a variety. It's really a variety of timeframes. I've been in the news business for over 35 years. I've been in Northern Virginia since 2007, and with Inside Nova really for most of that time, although there was a break for a couple of years due to ownership changes and so forth.
Yeah. So you've seen a lot. You've seen a lot of changes and trends, both in the news industry in general, and specifically to advertising in this particular area.
Yeah, I mean, it's been it's been very interesting and at the same time quite challenging.
Yeah.
When I started in journalism, I actually started with an afternoon daily newspaper in Richmond, and we were always excited because we went to press at like 9 o'clock in the morning. So we were always excited when we could get the word today in the first paragraph of our story. That was always an exciting, to be able to do that and kind of feel like we were breaking news, even though it wasn't going to show up on people's doorsteps till about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And of course now it's been a complete shift where we're breaking news 24/7 on the website. So it's allowed us as a traditional print organization to compete with radio and television, who always had that advantage of immediacy. And now we have that advantage online, and then we can still come back in print and provide depth, analysis, detail, nice photos, other elements that make for a nice print product that people want to read. And the advertising obviously has been kind of followed along a similar track, and in addition to delivering print solutions to advertisers that people can kind of lean back and read and think about and enjoy, we can also deliver the digital solutions. We do email blasts for advertisers. We reach 80,000 opt-in email subscribers across Northern Virginia. If they're having a sale or an event this weekend, what better way than to have a blast show up in people's inboxes from inside Nova, promoting that event.
Fantastic, fantastic. And in a way, that kind of gets me to the next question, which is, who's your ideal subscriber? And I'm going to say, there's kind of a part B to this. Who's your ideal advertiser?
Yeah, I mean, we're really both B2C and B2B. So on the B2C side, obviously, it's subscribers or readers of our news and products and our magazines. Really, obviously, anybody is
Yeah.
is an ideal subscriber or reader as long as they're interested in the content. I think our best and most loyal subscriber or readers are those who are, they're invested in their community somehow. They've got kids who go to the local schools, so they need to know what's going on at the local school board. They drive, they're on our roads driving to work, and so they need to know, what's going on with the latest road projects.
Right. Yeah.
What's going on in local politics. What events are going on this weekend that I can take the kids to. So really, it's a very broad definition of a reader. From an advertising standpoint, sort of the B2B side of the business, our ideal advertiser is a small to medium-sized business looking to reach a targeted market in Northern Virginia, who can't afford necessarily, to advertise in the big city newspaper or on the big city television and radio stations, because we can deliver. Those folks are going to reach. Those outlets are going to reach far more people than can patronize that business, if you will.
Yeah.
Just the geographic reach. Whereas our targeting allows them to just focus on, the folks who can patronize their business who are nearby.
How targeted can they get?
In print, it's a tad challenging, but we basically do it by county. Although within Prince William, they could target specific zip codes within Prince William because it is such a big county. Online, we can really do whatever somebody's looking for. The only thing is, whether it's geographic or even what we call behavioral targeting, or sort of what your interests are online. And I think everybody's familiar with how, ads tend to follow you around the websites. And we can do that too. We don't like to slice and dice too finely because it becomes such a small audience that it's sort of pointless. But
all 5 of them.
Yes, exactly. But we can certainly do some, we can certainly do targeting. So
awesome, very good, very good. Just kind of switching to the current events, what's been the greatest impact with COVID-19 on your business at this particular point?
There were really 2 immediate impacts, one positive, one negative. And I'll start with the negative one, which was, as soon as everything shut down in the middle of March, all of our advertisers shut down. I mean, a lot of them anyway. And we rely on, again, those small and medium-sized businesses. They were all, many, if not most of them, were forced to close. Even sort of mainstays like healthcare providers who do a lot of advertising with us, they had to close.
Yes.
And for a couple of months. We also get a lot of advertising tied to local events, spring festivals, churchyard sales, shopping center, sidewalk sales, things like that. And of course, all of that just, canceled immediately. And
Yes.
so, we saw a quick and stark downturn, excuse me, in advertise sorry, in advertising revenue. Um, it's come back. Some of it's come back as
Hmm.
businesses have, of course, some have reopened,
Yeah.
some have pivoted to virtual events and things
Yeah.
like that. So we've seen some of that come back, but we're not at last year's levels on terms of advertising revenue. Um, the positive has been readership.
Hmm.
So we saw an immediate spike in readership, particularly around content related to the pandemic.
Hmm.
Um, People were just desperate for information, and of course, it felt like a fire hose.
Yeah.
There was so much going on, and so many things were shutting down, and things were changing, and so forth. So, our online traffic in the first part of the pandemic doubled over
Yeah.
prior
Wow.
year.
Wow.
We had I think in April and May close to 4 million page views each of those months online compared to fewer than 2 million the prior year.
Hmm.
Um, that has eased a little bit
Hmm.
as sort of the pandemic turns into the quote unquote new normal.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But we're still way up over prior year in terms of online readership, and I just think there's been a renewed appreciation of local community journalism. And what I tell folks is the pandemic, it's a worldwide story, but
Hmm.
it's also the ultimate local news story
Right.
because
Right.
what's going on in California or China or somewhere else is far less important than what's going on with the pandemic here in Northern Virginia.
Right. Right. In
So,
fact, in your own county or
in
even
your own,
in your own zip code.
yeah, I mean, even the state, even the state, we report the state numbers every day, but even the state numbers, if it's an outbreak in Southwest Virginia, that's a long ways away,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's way more important what's going on here in Northern Virginia.
Yeah. And thinking about it, going back to the advertiser thought, now is the time. Anybody who's pivoted to virtual kind of business, and frankly, looking forward, anybody who's interested in still being in business as this pandemic starts to wind down, seems like now is you can't get out and network yet. Now is the time to be advertising even more heavily than you might have previously if you want to come back and be in business going forward.
Would you like a job as a sales rep?
No, I'll pass on that one. But as a business coach, I'm sitting
Right.
here thinking about how do I help my clients survive this process, and advertising has to be a component of this equation.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many businesses that have. I mean, I think this they said 25% of small businesses in Virginia have closed, and so people
Feels
need to.
right.
If you're open, people need to know that you're open.
Yeah.
They need to know what precautions you're taking
Yep.
to keep them safe. They need to know, if you have changed hours or operating procedures. They need to know that.
Mm-hmm.
If you've pivoted, you're a restaurant and now you're only doing carry out,
Mm-hmm.
or you're an arts venue and now you're doing virtual events
Yeah.
instead of live events.
Yeah.
They need to know that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, if you're in business, you need to be getting the word out.
You need to be getting the word out. And to your point, if 25% have closed, this is a huge opportunity. This
Yes.
is the time to be positioning to, those customers didn't go away.
Right.
They're still there. They have needs. So how do we serve their needs? How do we acquire that piece of the pie, if you will?
Yeah. And of course, it's been interesting because there've been some categories of business that have been overwhelmed. I mean,
Mm,
home improvement folks, which are a big category of advertiser for us, some of them have to turn away business at this point
yeah.
because people are at home, they're looking at their house and thinking
Yeah.
about home improvement
And so,
projects. They didn't go on vacation and spend a lot of money on vacation, so they're spending money on home improvement.
yeah. Well, they're getting tired of looking at the same old thing in their house. Maybe it's time we fix that.
Right, exactly.
All right. So let's think a little bit further. What are one or two things you've done to adapt to this situation in your business?
So a couple, I think we just kind of touched on one, which is sort of, going out to advertisers and sort of, trying to help them
Mm-hmm.
communicate to the
Mm-hmm.
public,
Mm-hmm.
what their new normal is and what their
Mm-hmm.
new hours are and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we have put together some, advertising packages sort of
Good.
tied to those kinds of activities. Um, Generally speaking, we have taken the opportunity to get our sales folks and advertising folks more up to speed and more focused on digital advertising, which is a
Good.
growing part of our business. Um, we've and personally, I've taken a bigger role in the news part of the business, just because as publisher and chief operating officer. Um, Before the pandemic, I spent a lot of time going to chamber events and networking events and lunches and dinners and breakfasts. And of course, I haven't done one of those in 9 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and I have a news background. And the news has been so important during this time.
Mm-hmm.
So I've spent a little more time kind of working on the news side of the content, particularly
Mm-hmm.
related to the pandemic. But it's been a challenge. And of course, we're all working remotely.
Mm.
Um, Luckily we were set up beforehand to be able to work remotely.
Good.
As a news organization, of course, we have to be prepared for snow day. We don't take snow days or
Right.
anything like that. So
Yeah.
the paper's got to come out, the news has got to get covered. So we were set up to work remotely. So that was fairly seamless, which was a good thing.
Okay. Fantastic. It's been said that smart people learn from their mistakes. It's been said that wise people learn from the mistakes of others. Are there some mistakes you've made that you're able to share that we could learn from, so that we learn something, one more thing, what not to do?
Probably the biggest mistake that I have made in my career, and I can't really be hyper specific about it, but letting my ego get in the way of making a business decision that just had to be made.
Yes.
And in retrospect, it was a decision that could have saved a product and saved part of a company.
Yeah.
But I just didn't have the courage
Yeah.
to make what was going to reduce my personal ego, I guess,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word.
That's a fantastic thing, and I'm glad you shared that particular one, because I think that's one we are all vulnerable to, and probably have shared that mistake. Each and every one of us, actually, at some point in time along the way. And if we can ever get over that one, that's the best one to get over.
Yeah, I mean, you spend a lot of time, creating a product, building a product.
Mm-hmm.
You believe in the product, and if it's not working, at some point you have to pull the plug. Or pivot or
Yeah.
pull the plug.
Well, yeah, and pivot is probably a good place to start.
Right.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, second to last question. I've got your email address, I've got your website, of course, and a phone number to include. Is there anything else you would like to add? An offer, perhaps? Anything you would like to share?
I would say that what we are most interested in doing is connecting the community. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for a way to connect with the community in Northern Virginia, let us know how we can help you.
Okay.
And we have so many different advertising packages and subscription packages that I happy to negotiate anything that anybody wants. I wouldn't say that, but happy to negotiate and put something together for folks. But really, and even on the public relations and side of things, mm-hmm. We want to know about your business. If you're expanding, if you're hired a new CEO, maybe you got a new government contract.
Mm,
That's stuff we want to report about in, either in the website, on the website, or in one of our newspapers.
fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, last question. What's most inspiring to you these days?
What's most inspiring to me is when we're able to help people in the community, um, by providing that news and information. That's why I got into this business, and why I love this business.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, a very small example, in our Prince William County newspaper this week, we have a feature story about a family in the Manassas area of Prince William, whose 3-year-old daughter was taken to the hospital right before Christmas several years ago, and diagnosed with a severe case of childhood cancer. The young girl has now recovered,
Awesome.
and the family is sort of taking their story and trying to help other families who may have children who are struggling, by providing gifts at Christmas time. And so, we wrote a feature story about it in this week's paper.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I know that because of that story being in the paper and then being on our website, they will get more gifts to
Mm-hmm.
hand out to children this holiday.
Awesome.
And even if it's only one more,
Mm-hmm.
that's one more child who's going to get a present this holiday,
Right.
and know that somebody's thinking about that child and cares for that child. So that's the kind of thing that, you know, makes the job fun and meaningful, and that's what gets me up and gets me going every day.
People who really care.
Right, absolutely. And being able just to connect the community. This is it's a transient community. I don't mean that in a negative way, but you don't meet a lot of people who are actually from Northern Virginia.
Right.
um, we're all very busy.
Yeah.
In regular times, we all spend a lot of time in our cars going to and from work.
Yes.
And so, what our role is to really kind of help people understand they are part of a community, and to learn a little bit about that community, and to understand that community, and to get involved in the issues that affect that community, wherever their passions might lie.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you for that very much. This has
Sure.
been Bruce Potter with Inside Nova, sharing his business. Thank you very much, Bruce.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate the opportunity.